Forgive me, Father, for I've sinned. It's been like 2 months since my last confession.
It's been over 3 years, Rick.
Hello, guys. Welcome to CHW Studios. This time, we will discuss a film starring Admin's favorite actress, Selena Gomez. Without further ado, let's go to the video. The movie begins with a young man named Rick Stevens. You could say that Rick has a pretty chaotic life with his father, who is a fugitive from his friend, who is imprisoned, and his mother, who is off. That day he wanted to go to school as usual, but he saw his mother unconscious with many suicide notes beside her. After he called 911, we were taken to 2 weeks before the incident, where Rick's family was still complete. And at that time, Rick was determined to get laid for the first time this year. He already had a target girl. Nina Pennington is a popular girl in her school, but before that, we first get to know Rick's family. This woman is named Lucy, who loves to get drunk, and then there's Steven, the troublemaker in their family. And there is also Kristen's older sister, who works as a dancer in one of the vulgar clubs in the city. And then the last is Joseph, Rick's irresponsible father, who is fond of cheating on his wife and documenting his activities in a video. Joseph is always not at home because his time is always spent with other women. From here on, we will follow the story of Rick, a tough teenage figure who has worked in his youth. He worked as a debt collector for Jimmy Leck. A boss of a club where Christine worked that day was assigned to collect a debt from an aunt in a complex. But when collected, the aunt, who looked drunk, argued that she had no money, and will perform the service of sucking on the Rick so that this aunt gets extra time to pay the debt. The innocent Rick wants to be invited by the aunt, even though it is only a matter of seconds before Rick has been made KO by the aunt. Rick was still proud and wanted to tell his friend about his first experience. He ran and banged on the door of a house. When the door was opened, we could see Mrs. Pamela Bender, the mother of his friend. Pamela said that her son was in his room. When the door to the room was opened, we met Billy, Rick's best friend, who was seen exercising his fingers even though Rick's arrival surprised him, but did not surprise Billy's decision to continue completing his task. After cleaning up and finishing, Billy asked Rick, who seemed carefree since Rick kept babbling about him getting free service from the aunt he owed. But it turned out that Pamela was secretly listening to their conversation, so suddenly, Pamela's aunt told her son to go shopping and let Rick be with her. After the house was quiet and there were only the two of them, Aunt Pamela said that Rick's mother was his best friend, and it should be his mother's best friend to teach Rick the steps to maturity. After successfully losing his virginity, even though it was with his best friend's mother, the next day Rick woke up full of energy, even though, on the other hand, he was afraid of the scandal. That morning he left for school. At school, when Rick and Billy were chatting, he was surprised by a student who looked like a nerd named Carlos. Carlos eavesdropped on their conversation and then gave Rick a challenge. If Rick managed to sleep with Nina before labor, he would get Billy. Tried to prevent his best friend from accepting the challenge because, even though Charlie looked like a nerd, he was the son of a respected mobster. But Rick has already dealt with Carlos, and now he is just trying to get the prima donna of the school. In the toilet, Rick meets a woman who claims to be Saint Lola who will help to smooth out Rick's plan to get Nina. Coincidentally, that day, Rick saw Nina and her boyfriend Kevin arguing in front of his eyes, which gave Rick hope that he could get Nina. Besides that, another opportunity came when Rick saw Nina and offered him a ride to go together to the funeral of their homeroom teacher, who happened to die that day, although Kevin was held back by Kevin, who was not happy to see Rick talking to Nina. However, the conversation between Nina and Rick at that time went smoothly because Nina herself did not consider Kevin her boyfriend anymore.